with this layer selected, just use the transform tool if I want to make some very basic transforms, such as scaling it inward like this. But in this instance, I want to flatten the bottom. Let me scale this in just a little bit more. Okay, and we'll go back to the pose tool. I can hide that base or ghost it, either one. Let's go to a front view, and I can right click outside the object and drag to zoom in. With the paint select mode chosen, I will then use the rectangular lasso in the E panel to select the bottom half of this object. Let's click to main axis, and let's go to a side view to make sure that we've selected all the way through. So go to a back view. Good to go. I'll hold the shift key. I'll go ahead and scale it along the y-axis to sort of flatten it out. Okay, and maybe push down just a little bit. Let's clear the selection. If I want to modify the entire object while I'm in the pose mode, I can choose select object and select multiple objects if I want. I need to be in a brush to select this object. Let me try and seat this. I want to reset the axis. Come out of orthographic view. Now I'll make a small selection on the bottom to extrude some kind of articulating lever. I'll go to a bottom view. Clear the selection. I want to make sure to check ignore back facing because I want it to be just on the bottom here. I'll go ahead and stretch that out. Let's use freeform lattice. I'll choose fit. A directional fit is helpful a lot of times if you're maybe selecting things like appendages such as fingers or legs, things of that sort. It's pretty good in those situations. Every once in a while it may not work as you expect, so you might use fits, and then you can use transform lattice toggle in order to modify just the lattice. You can kind of shape it and transform just the lattice to kind of put it in the right position and the right orientation, and then when you're ready, when you've got that set up, you can go ahead and uncheck that and then start making your selections and transformations. Let's use something like a freeform lasso so that we can select our control points. If I use a brush, I can select these segments like this as it's highlighted, or individual points, but if I want to select multiple points, then I would want to use one of these shape marquees. Go ahead and select all of these. I'll see the gizmo pop up. Maybe select these bottom two. Just about close enough. So let's go ahead and clear the selection. I could spend a little more time cleaning it up or switch to other tools like the cutoff tool to make clean trims or cuts. Another thing we can do is we can use our specialty brush alphas to make some type of an extrusion here for a missile pod on the end. I'll choose something like that. Go back to an orthographic view and front view. Zoom in. And this time I'll choose a brush. I'll use something like this dotted stroke. That way I can just kind of click and it will create it. If I need, I can rotate this by using 0 or the 9 key on your keyboard, not the number pad, but the keyboard. In my brush options, I can just go back to 0, straighten it out, and if I like it, just click, and that should create it. But before I go any further, I'll go ahead and clear that and come out of a cached state. So let's click that. Pose tool. For more precise placement, you can always use the 2D grid from the view menu. You can move it about. You can use this widget here. You can also use the measure tool if you need to move it in specific increments. And you can scale this to your liking. You can save it to a camera shortcut, which is a control up arrow on your keyboard if you want to use that. Or you could just use this here in the camera menu. But when you do that, it's going to store the 2D grid location as well as this particular view. Also, if you want to make a specific angular selection with the line tool, you can have 3D Coat use the 2D grid to snap. So that way it's snapping perfectly vertically or horizontally or to a grid point. Turn snapping off. We've already made our selection. We can come out of orthographic view. We can go in with that if we want. Let's undo. Let's smooth the selection a little bit. And then make a transform so it's a little bit smoother. Clear the selection. Let's click. Smooth that before we do any kind of transform. I'll clear the selection. If I want, I can mirror this over to the other side. So now, let's go ahead and click Same Copy. And go ahead and turn symmetry off for now. And we can unhide our base. The 5 key to turn orthographic view back off. And that's it. Let's take this model and we'll go to the transform tool. Hold the shift key to move the pivot point back here in the back. Now if we want, we can rotate it up. And we have our missile pod or missile rail. And with that, we're going to conclude this look at using the Pose tool in 3D Coat. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video.